Hi there. It's been a while since my last update. Definitely longer than I intended or declared that I would go. I think I said I would do these every 4 weeks. It's definitely been longer. So I am now 25 weeks. Very obviously pregnant, very well into my second trimester. And I'm just popping in to give my little status update. A lot has happened since my last one. So first, on the physical end of things, I'm going to be consulting my notes here. I think I mentioned that I had this kind of niggling, annoying thought that maybe there was 2 babies because my fundal height was just a little higher than I expected it to be, and a couple other things like weird dreams that people were having about me having twins and things my kids were saying. So I finally got to the point where I kind of had to know, I want to know if there's 2 babies in here. I was palpating myself and had a couple times when I felt like I was feeling too many poles, like too many big lumps, like too many butts and heads. So I ended up calling up a friend who's a midwife, and I told her I don't actually want to hire you as my midwife, but I'm wondering if I could pay you to come consult with you and have you get your more experienced hands on my belly and talk through some questions that my husband has, especially about unassisted birth, which I'll come back to. So we went in and saw her, and she has been delivering babies for decades, so she has very experienced hands. She did not feel more than 1 baby and didn't have any reason to believe that there was more than one. My fundal height was about 4 inches, or 4 centimeters ahead of my gestation, but I was only 20 weeks then, and that was still a pretty normal margin of difference, I guess. So I think that kind of put the thought to rest in my head. It might have even gone to rest before we went to see her. I don't worry anymore that there's 2 babies. If they're surprise twins, we'll all be in for a ride. So like I said, we did consult with her once, and we probably will go see her at least one more time before our due date, probably like late in pregnancy. Just again, get her experienced hands and reassurance that we're still like good to go, in the clear for moving forward with our plan to have an unassisted birth this time around. She's been really supportive of it in general, which I deeply appreciate, and aids my confidence in being higher. So while we saw her, one thing that she also helped me discover is that I'm a bit anemic. So we did the finger prick and my levels were 9.7. You should be above 11 if you want to have a home birth to reduce your likelihood of bleeding and so on. And finding that out was actually a big, it connected a lot of puzzle pieces for me, because I had been really bottoming out emotionally and feeling extremely low energy, apathetic, just laying around on the couch and crying a lot, honestly. I was crying a lot. So when we found out that I was a bit anemic, we put a plan into action to begin me on Floridex, which is a liquid herb-based iron supplement, with the hopes that maybe in increasing my energy through addressing the anemia, that it might also help in my emotional state, and that's definitely been true. That has been the case. So I've been on the Floridex for 4 or 5 weeks now. Yeah, 5 I think, and it's kicking in. I have color in my cheeks again. I don't feel like there's no point in life anymore, so that's a huge relief. In addition to the Floridex, I also added in desiccated liver after talking with another friend who's a midwife, and reading some stuff by Mama Natural. I guess she talks a lot about this in a blog post she has up as well. But having the animal source of iron in addition to the plant source, I think that combination has been spot on. I would probably eat more red meat, but because of budgetary reasons and my family's preferences about food, I haven't been able to eat as much red meat as I would prefer. But we're also cooking on cast iron, and I've been trying to sneak beets into my smoothies and spinach and things like that, some foods that have some iron in them as well. So what else on the physical front? Yeah, we also found out our baby's gender, which I did post that video right when we did it. We did that at 21 and a half weeks, I think. We found out baby's gender using the blood test, the sneak a peek blood test, and found out we're having a little girl, and I will post a link to that video in the notes below in case you'd like to watch the moment that we found that out. That has been fun. I think it was odd doing it because I think as I get older and as I learn my own existing children better, I realize how in some ways gender doesn't mean quite as much, or like a baby's sex doesn't mean quite as much as I once probably gave it credit for. My kids don't always fall into the kind of typical boy or girl behaviors. In some ways they do, and in other ways they don't. And I had just become more aware of the fact that finding out which chromosome my child has is such a teeny tiny fraction of knowing who they are as a whole person. And I want to hold it as that, like as a tiny piece. It's not the fullness of who they are, but it's still fun to know. I still probably am not going to buy all the pink things, but it's still fun to know. As far as baby goes, I'm feeling movement much more obviously and frequently. There's definitely a living baby in there. And it's also become a lot easier to use the fetoscope. So I was first able to hear the baby with the fetoscope at 16 weeks, which felt like quite an accomplishment because that's pretty early to find it. And now I can find it really easily pretty much anytime I try. And I do try to do that at least once a week. It's a fun thing to share with my kids too because they get a kick out of it. So I can use it to find the baby's heartbeat, and then I transfer the earpieces over to them and they're able to hear, and I'll have them tap out with their finger like the rhythm of the heartbeat. And it's really special, and I feel like it's a great way for them to connect with what's going on. I've been measuring my own fundal height, and it seems to be just more level now. Like I just did it a couple days ago, and I was measuring 25, which is exactly how many weeks gestation I am. So I think we're good. No twins. I am feeling really heavy already. Just like cumbersome and heavy. And I don't remember feeling this way this early on in my past pregnancies, but I know that memory gets weird in between pregnancies. I also know I'm quite a bit older this time, so that is probably part of it. However, I've definitely had to bust out that wedge pillow. Have you seen these? That when you're sleeping in bed at night, you can kind of put the wedge under your belly, and it just supports it. And I've also busted out the belly band. Actually, I had to get a new one because my old one got ruined. This just is a nice thing to wear for parts of the day to kind of lift up and support my belly. In the past, I've had kind of what do you call a pendulous abdomen, so it's like everything tips forward too much and it can be detrimental to the baby being in good position. So especially as I get further along in my pregnancy, I'm going to be using that belly band quite a bit more, I think. And I'm still seeing my chiropractor every other week for now, and I'll probably go up to every week when I get into third trimester, at least ideally, because that's been so beneficial in the past. If you have never seen a chiropractor during your pregnancy, wow, do I recommend it. Okay, so we also, from like family preparation standpoint, because this is going to be a family birth, everyone's going to be around. I'm trying to do diligence in preparing my kids for that. So part of what that's looked like so far is reading books about home birth. We have these ones and a couple more, but these are our favorites. My Mother is the Strongest, a home birth story. I really love the pictures in here. And the language they use to talk about birth. Really sweet. Home Sweet Baby. This one has just several different one-page blips about different birth stories or different children's experiences with birth and their family. Again, really cool paintings. Mama talked to me about when Max was born. This is my littlest daughter's favorite one. She asks to read this one a lot. It's a water birth home story. Kind of like a computer animated kind of pictures in this one. Some sweet ways that doulas and midwives are talked about in here too. And then this is my personal favorite of all time, Hello Baby, by Jenny Overland and illustrated by Julie Vivas. It's from the UK, but anyway, it's just gorgeous and makes home birth so normal and wonderful, and it's such a family-centered birth story. I highly recommend those books. And in addition, my friend Ashley of Slow Living Homestead, that's her Instagram handle, is coming out with her own children's book that I've had the honor of proofreading. And I think it's going to be a really sweet addition to the library of books out there for children about home birth. So I'm excited to get that one too. My kids say funny things sometimes about the baby and about my belly. I've started telling them that certain drinks I drink, like my tea or like the iron with the orange juice, are for the baby, like that they're the baby's medicine and they're for the baby. And sometimes I use that as an excuse to hoard different foods that I don't want to share too. So I say, oh, that's for the baby, right? I was like, yeah, that's for the baby. And then they won't ask for it anymore. Kind of taking advantage. One day we went out for a walk in the cold, and when we came back in, my littlest daughter said, Mommy, did you take the baby on a walk with us? In your belly? In you's belly? I was like, yeah, I did. She goes everywhere with me. She's like, but she doesn't have any pants on. It's like, no, she doesn't. And then, I don't know if it was the same conversation or later, I think it was the same. She said, and when the baby comes out of you, you have to break into 100 pieces. No, but it does occasionally feel that way. Anyway, it's just really fun to watch our interactions. And they've also been loving YouTube videos about birth. My youngest son, who's turning 5 tomorrow, really likes the YouTube videos and asks to watch those. So I think they're getting their head around it. My eldest daughter wants to see the placenta this time. That feels really important to her. And we talked about who we would have present as their adult friend at the birth to be with them and kind of like just shepherd them through the experience of witnessing their sibling's birth. So I think things are going well on that front. Emotionally, like I mentioned, and it overlaps with the physical update, emotionally I was definitely bottoming out a few weeks ago, and I was pretty scared and worried about myself, truthfully. It was pretty dark. But I reached out for help, which was a little hard to do, and the help has meant getting some counseling, going to see a naturopath to update kind of like holistic wellness practices that I can do. Like she did some muscle testing to kind of ask my body basically what it needs right now in order to regain stability on the emotional front. So I've been implementing a lot of that as well, and that has been really helpful. And I also started on CBD oil, which I think has also made a really big difference. So I'm happy to say that with all of those pieces in place, I'm feeling much more emotionally stable and more like myself now. But then of course coronavirus kicked in, and just our whole nation is kind of in panic and sadness, and a lot of uncertainty, and of course that trickles down into all of us. And when we're pregnant and have hormones on top of all of those very real external circumstances, it can sometimes feel really overwhelming. I'm not worried about getting sick per se. I know I think pregnant people are considered technically higher risk, but we stayed home most of the time anyway, and we're just doing that even more now. If the grocery store has to happen, I send my husband, and he's vigilant about washing hands. So I'm not particularly worried about the sickness itself, but more just the uncertainty of the days to come. I'm definitely feeling glad that I was already planning a home birth, so I don't have to worry about the going to the hospital that's overrun with corona patients problem, or some of the policies that they're implementing at hospitals now, like not allowing support people, or possibly separating mothers and babies if the mother is positive for coronavirus. And my due date is still 3 months out, so there's a chance that a lot of this will have settled out and be kind of done, by then. And it won't be a worry anyway, so I'm trying not to get prematurely worried about such things. So because of all the heightened interest suddenly in home birth, and I'm seeing lots of moms wanting to switch to home birth with a midwife or alone lately, I realized maybe I should buy my birth kit sooner than later. So I did indeed order my birth kit, at least the most necessary things so far. And I think I'll do a different video at another time to walk through what I've chosen to purchase and have on hand for this birth. But I won't do that right now. Except I'll tell you this one thing I got this giant pop-up like gazebo with mosquito netting sides, because I'm very seriously considering trying to have my birth outdoors this time. But come July in Michigan, I know the mosquitoes are likely to be pretty bad, and that would be really distracting. So I thought I could labor and or give birth inside the mosquito tent and then rest in there after birth for the golden hours before moving on inside to my bed. And if I don't end up using it, because who knows really if we'll have time to set it up. My past labors have been very fast. It's possible this one will be too fast to set up a tent, or that'll be the wrong time of day, or that'll be pouring rain. Gotta hold the plans loosely, right? But even if I don't use the gazebo for birth, it will be great this summer for taking baby outside and knowing that I can put her inside of there and not have her get eaten alive by mosquitoes. Because our family definitely likes to spend a lot of time outside in the summer. I think it will be a good investment in general, and it makes me excited. And what else? Oh, yeah, in response to the coronavirus stuff, from a business perspective, I also decided to offer a couple of things. One is I actually created a mini course called Plan B, Giving Birth in Uncertain Times, which is for those mamas who are wondering if they might not want to go to the hospital anymore. And it just kind of walks through some basics of moving past fear, because, oh gosh, that's huge. Moving past fear to make your decision, and then some basic information about unassisted birth in case, whether by necessity or choice, you are alone when you give birth. Some birth affirmations, some links to other resources to help equip you for a change of plans, etc., etc. And I've been selling that for just $25, just as a little gift, I hope, to moms who are wrestling through those questions right now, because that's very real. And I also am running a sale for a while on my full online pregnancy, birth, postpartum course called Embrace for 40% off. I can put a code for that below too, just because I think going to in-person birth classes right now is not really a possibility for many people, which makes the online format for learning really helpful right now. So just trying to do those couple of small things to meet the needs of mamas during this unique and crazy time. But I think that's it for my 25-week update. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again sometime. I'm not going to say how many weeks now, because it probably wouldn't be what I say anyway. But have a great day.